Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We got in a interesting question from a viewer, and that is, what is a relationship like between two psychopaths? And I get asked this often. Can a relationship between a psychopath and a narcissist work? Between someone who's covert and overt, between a narcissist and a narcissist. And, I get correspondences from people who are psychopathic as well. And, it seems to be a common question. So I will give you basically an example of what occurs or what really happens when two psychopaths are in a relationship. And realize that you are basically, these types of people are people without a conscience. They really have a very high propensity of boredom, so they need to be stimulated. They need to quench their boredom. If they're bored, they need to go out and do something. They need to go and be thrill seekers. They need to go motorcycle riding. They need to drive fast cars. They need to go shopping. They need to exhibit, sexual prowess. They need to go to the bar. They need to do the drinking. They need to do the drugs. They need to do the flashing of their, muscles to other people in the bars and pick people up. And, they will really, they really, it's like a faceless attraction. Like, they really just don't really have a sort of attraction to people. They might have a fascination where they might be truly fascinated with this individual and the fact, how they love them. But they might find it very strange when they try to exhibit real affection, like, I want to scratch your back, or, I want to, and they'll be like, this is weird, because they're like, I don't really feel close like this, and I don't really have power over you. So I think they then learn how to mimic the real relationships. So when they see, people giving gifts, and they see that they're able to get people who kind of basically fall into their lap, fall into their hands, basically, the whole world is in my hand is how they think. They came right into it. They dangled the little carrot, and then this person is, then following them, and then they're, following them around, and, basically, the psychopath then is just telling these people what they want to hear. The sweet nothings. You are so beautiful. You are so handsome. You are so this, you are so that, and, calling them by the nicknames, and being there for them if they need someone to be there, being someone rough if they need someone to be rough, being intellectual. They can really put on a facade. They're able to really craft and develop a mask. So between the two psychopaths, oftentimes, these people, I think it's more just an exploitation of each other, because generally they will put on the show of the relationship more as a show for others. So, for example, in a workplace, there might be two psychopaths who tend to try to steal the show. They might try to get all the attention. They might dress, very inappropriately, provocatively, wearing, wearing leather, scantily dressed, just wearing strange clothes into the workplace, that just does not fit the area. And so people are like, this is really bizarre. And then, they'll be basically trying to take a lot of the attention. And then they'll be leaving the clues for other people in the office to then basically see what they're doing, or leaving clues, leaving things amiss that are misplaced, out of place, to try to get people's attention. So it kind of doubles the brainwashing that tends to occur, and it's really more for the environment, and really kind of controlling others in the environment and getting other people to then be sucked into their drama, their chaos, their unusual charm, or their the unusual relationship and behaviors that they will exhibit. Very, very strange things to try to get people's attention. Very code-like, enigmatic behavior. Code-like meaning saying strange things out of context, using words and sexual connotations, stirring the meaning of stirring the meaning around, using provocative imagery, using provocative language to try to override people's normal thought patterns to think like them. And that's how they get people hooked in, is through oftentimes this sort of sex talk or strange enigmatic and cryptic use of language and body language as well. So anyway, and sometimes people think it's funny, but then, it makes an impression on their subconscious, and then they become really sucked in, and it just continues to spiral downward from there. So in terms of the, using each other, that's, it's basically what it is. And, the psychopath and the narcissist, when they get on, they seem to be like, feel like they're the most gorgeous couple in the world, and we can allure, other people with our look and our stare. And, they're very well aware of the fact that they're, crap magnets, basically. They're just magnets for people's attention, and they thrive on people observing them and watching them and thinking that they're so this or so that. It's more for, getting attention for attention's sake, and that to them, they get a rise out of power and control of others by doing this. And, to say that, this doesn't wear off, I mean, it does, because the psychopath has a tendency to need a thrill. They don't really have a loyalty. They don't have an attachment. They don't have a bond. So they don't really, they will stay with someone who they can be a parasite off of. And oftentimes it's someone who's very weak, very naive, very spineless, or really living in a complete delusion. The fact that they don't see what this person is doing, they'll deny the clues. They just don't know what to look out for. The fact that this person is, texting other people while they're at dinner, and then they'll be, working their phone and setting up their next date, while this person who they're, quote, grooming to be married to is completely clueless. I mean, they're really, they don't really, they'll do it right under your nose. It's kind of like, it gives them a sense of dopamine rush, that they're, in control and in power, and they'll be trying to attract all sorts of different people, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a librarian, whether it's a police officer, whether it's, all different walks of life. They'll basically be just seeing what they can allure and attract. So the psychopaths together, there's not going to be any sort of loyalty. It's just, it's just, I don't want to say it's a compare notes sort of situation, but it's just kind of like exploitation. And I don't think there's no gratification. The psychopath doesn't really have a lot of gratification from sex or relationships. It's more just the idea that they can overpower somebody. And even though they put on the smile, they put on the, I'm in love, they put on the walks in the garden, they take you to this, they take you to that, they don't feel any sort of attachment. It's really just a ploy and a tactic to control people. And really, it is as much as you can turn on and off a light. I mean, they can just, they drop this person, and they can just, they fill it just with the next person who they can suss out, who they can find, who they can go to the bar and pick up, who they can go to, someplace and then start, drawing up attention. And they really don't care if it's someone who works at the restaurant, someone who works at the donut store, someone who works over here. They just will try to conquer for conquer's sake. And it's just to give them that rush that they have conquered another. So it's very empty. A lot of people say it's very demonic. And I definitely would not recommend caring or pursuing or following or trying to, see what these people are doing, because it's just really, it's an invaluable sort of situation. It's just one of exploitation, one of emptiness, one of charades, and it really doesn't carry any sort of lasting impact or influence. It's more just meant as a sham or a show to try to manipulate other people into watching them. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.